Is this thing on?
Hello, and welcome back to the SLC Voice Podcast, a podcast by students for students. I'm Brian, and today we're continuing our series of interviews with my fellow board of directors members, just in hopes of letting you all know who we are. Today we have Henry Dollar, who is a returning board member and someone I'm really been excited to work with. Henry, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, everybody. My name is Henry Dollar. I've been around Canada for 3 years now, 3 years and a little bit. And it's my third year at St.LawrenceCollege, second year into the Bachelor's of Nursing program. And I'm excited to be representing many other students on the board.
That's awesome, man. I've heard it's a pretty intense program, but there's a lot of benefit from it. So I'm sure it's gonna be all worth the effort in the long term.
For sure, for sure.
So we've interviewed myself and Ben so far, and obviously you have a bit of a different perspective coming from outside of Canada. Can you explain to us like how you bring that perspective onto the board?
Well, I coming on the board, actually, it was a learning curve because I've done a lot of student advocacy in the past, but the board, the way it operates here is quite different there. But I think what I've brought to the board so far as I'm concerned, is just a little bit of a challenge. It's a good culture here that people tend to respect each and everybody's opinion, and we tend not to oppose what somebody else is saying. But it's also, I think, also a good culture that we can have different perspective. And if I disagree with Brian, I should be able to say, you know what, Brian, I disagree with you. And that has been my little bit of a contribution on the board. It doesn't always feel comfortable, but I know that many people have gotten that test from me.
You know what, and I can attest to this, folks. It's fantastic because it is really easy to get into groupthink sometimes. And Henry, I think, is fantastic about presenting some other opinions, including some ones where I can tell that you don't necessarily believe them, but you know that it has to be said. And I think that's really integral, especially considering we're representing such a vast display and disparity of people. Making sure to voice these opinions is really important, and it's great that you bring it to the board. So you said like you were talking about how it's a little bit different from some prior experiences as student advocacy. What has surprised you most about this experience compared to your previous experiences?
Well, in my previous experience, the capacity I've served in, we of course make strategic planning and strategic policies to lead the organization, but we also are involved into day-to-day running of the organization.
Okay.
So while here we would just make the policy and trust that the people who are hired to implement them will do a good job and evaluate their performances after a particular period of time. Where I come from, it's actually the board or us, the team, that also says, okay, this is how we are going to achieve it. You're going to do A, you're going to do B, and you're going to stop A, you're going to stop B. And so we were very much involved into almost everything.
Oh, that's interesting. That's a whole different scope and level. So that would be a bit of a different experience for sure. Now, in talking about like how you've had experiences with like enacting changes and such like that, do you have any things that you're hoping to achieve with your time on the board here?
For the rest of my time on the board, one of the biggest interests I have right now is to advocate for some minority groups. So
Okay.
that's it's obvious some of the things affect me, but also the things that do not affect me. I think the minority groups, we tend to have policies that say those things, but actually do not implement things that change certain norms and certain atmosphere around our student environment. So before I leave the board, I hope to have brought in, even if it's a beginning of a change, hopefully other guys that will come after me can take it from there.
I think that's powerful, man. Like we live in a multicultural country, and Kingston, I find, is becoming increasingly multicultural. Like I come from Toronto originally, and it's a very different change from coming from North York, where I was a minority of being Caucasian in my class. There's vast majority Asian descent or African descent. And coming here, when I was coming here at 12, I'm 32 now, all Caucasian people, and it's been beautiful seeing Kingston become more of a multicultural representation. And I think it is really important that to see more of that representation in things like the board. So the fact that you're actively in trying to do that and opening these doorways, I think is fantastic, man. I think it's really important.
Thank you.
Um, Cheers, man. So you talked about this. Now let's talk about your schooling a little bit. Just talk about a little bit more what the program you're in. Can you give us an idea of like where that's going to lead you in your career?
Well, the Bachelor's of Nursing, I find it has a very broad branches even after you're done. In terms of work, in terms of further education, there's just so much you can do with your life. It's for myself, I don't know well what's up for me. I do believe I'll continue my schooling, but not immediately. I think I want to earn a little bit of money, pay a little bit of student debt, and then hopefully further and do a master's, go into education, go into management or whatever it is. I don't know yet, but I would definitely further my studies after this bachelor's.
That's fantastic, man. One of those things I've learned from my prior career and now is the importance of just opening up as many doorways and pathways as possible. And I think you kind of have that same mentality, right? It was like get this program done and then see what's out there, because you never know what opportunity is going to come up. And that's the kind of fun of it, being in school and trying to explore all these different routes and clubs and things like that, and just seeing what happens, right?
And
So
Brian, I talk to people sometime and they tell me, I want to do A, B, C, and they have almost all their life mapped out.
yeah, the little
And that's good.
pathways.
That's good. But from my experience, my life has always had unexpected turns. I did this bachelor's before in Namibia. I did 3 years. I
Okay.
had one more year to go before I graduated, and I moved, and everything was got thrown into trash. So
Oh
you
no.
can never really have like a definite plan. If you have that, you get really disappointed, you get frustrated. It's good to have like a broad view, but let
Yeah.
life play out and make decisions as opportunity present themselves to you.
Yeah, man. Flow like a river, right? You know what I mean? Like if you're tree branching and get broken, I definitely feel that, and I think it's a good lesson for anybody to learn, especially with how quickly the world is shifting around us. Oh man, being able to be multifaceted and changing with the times is a beautiful thing. So you're a bachelor of science from nursing. What is it that interests you about this field of study? Like, why did you want to get into it?
Um, Growing up, I've always loved and was passionate about treatment and healing and all
Okay.
that kind of thing. I remember just being a child and maybe any of my siblings who had themselves, and I'll like rub some leaves or tell them to take some water. So it's been something that I grew up loving. Of course, in the environment where I grew up, the professions that are usually around that we see that a kid grows up dreaming, they're very limited. You
Okay.
either see yourself as a health profession, a doctor, a nurse, or you're a teacher, or like very limited options. So mine was that. I just grew up loving medicine and healthcare. When I graduated high school in Namibia, I didn't have the grades to go into medical school.
Okay.
So the next thing closest to that was nursing. I thought I'll do nursing and I love it, and I did it, and I loved it, and I came here. I had the option of switching, but I thought no. I think I
Oh
love
no.
what I was doing. Although it's gonna be 4 or 5 years wasted, but I think this is where I belong. I'm gonna do it again, and so that's why I'm doing it.
I gotta disagree with you, man. It wasn't wasted. You already learned a bunch, right? You know what I mean? Like it's time you spent. You don't think you wasted it, though, my friend. But
Well,
I
it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money.
okay, okay.
University is
I
expensive.
feel you in that regard, man. Yeah. I do think it's interesting though, you talking about like, nursing versus, like medical school. And I think one of the things that the pandemic has highlighted is the importance of all the people in our healthcare system. And I think there has been finally some shift towards seeing the importance of nurses and the other people that are involved in medicine and just not being just doctors. and hopefully that kind of just leads to some better changes within the healthcare system, from what I understand.
Absolutely.
Now, you spent some time in being around medicine and learning about this and like all these aspects of healthcare. What are some things that you've learned that you could pass along to either someone coming into your program or just like a layperson? Like, what are some things that might be interesting?
Oh, nursing is very broad, and depending on what um, your interests are, people pick up different things. For me, it's always been like, don't also limit yourself. Sometimes I find that health professionals, we become very comfortable. We look at somebody, and because of what we know, the science tells us, and the experience we have, and we are almost sure, or this must be a bacterial infection, or this must be a fungal infection. And that has not always been the case. So for me, I would tell people, if you really love it, um, like always question, just question. Even if you think you are sure of this, just ask yourself, what if it's not, And I think you must be very curious. In the health profession, things are changing rapidly, especially in the last few years. Science and technology is taking over a lot of the things that were manually and humanly done. So, like, our profession is becoming very, very competitive if
Yeah.
people want to either do it or also excel in it. But it is still very broad, and people that love it enjoy it.
I feel that, man. And it's interesting over this so far, there's a couple of questions, teaching, learning and helping people and questioning things have come up multiple times. So I think you're in the right field, man. It seems like you're going to have a lot of fun with this. It's like you said, with how quickly things advance, the people that are interested in and wanting to question things and look for new pathways, I think they're going to be the ones that succeed. So I think you have the mentality for that. So I'm hoping it goes well for you, man.
Thanks, man.
Okay, so I think we touched on some more of these serious topics. Now let's just talk about some silly things. Just let people know you the person, not just you the student or the board member. So, what's a talent that no one could guess you have just by looking at you?
A talent? None.
Yeah, talent.
I have no talent, man.
Oh, yo,
I
don't
tell
lie
you
to
the
me.
truth. I'm just a regular guy trying to figure out life. I have I have no special. Let me tell you my talent. My talent is
All
not
right.
being able to learn music. I tried to learn music like 5 times. I dropped out each time I tried.
Oh no
I
way.
I tried in a religious context in a church where I was encouraged to learn music, dropped out. I joined a choir, dropped out. I took personal classes outside of curriculum, dropped out.
It's
I
just not
paid
happening.
I paid for class for music, dropped out. So I just at this time I just gave up. I have a talent for not learning music.
Oh, that's fantastic, man. You know, you know how like how there's like in the world, there's opposites pose and there's always like an external force. I have a buddy of mine. I swear to God, every instrument he picks up, he can just play in 5 minutes, and it's infuriating. So I've now met people on the opposite end of the spectrum. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm not trying to hammer home your lack of musical ability, but what are 3 songs that you can listen to on repeat?
3 songs, man. I don't know, just because of what I just told you. I think I'm lying, but like my playlist changes all the time.
Truth.
And it's all a variety of stuff. Sometimes I'm listening to like religious music.
Okay.
Sometimes I'm listening to rap.
Okay.
Sometimes like traditional, like my home country traditional raw
Okay.
music where there's no instrument, maybe just drums.
Oh, cool.
So I listen to all kind of stuff, and I don't think I have like particular music that I listen to all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some music comes into my playlist and I listen to it over 100 times, and then after a while, maybe I lose taste. I don't know. Just add new ones and forget the old ones.
I feel that, man. Like when I answer this one, I have 3 songs, and afterwards I'm like, oh wait, I just said this song, and this song, and this song. So I know what you mean, man. I find I match my music with my moods. So like if I'm sitting down to study, I'm putting on like some of those lo-fi channels and just like listen to that for like 5 or 6 hours, and when I'm wanting something else, I have to listen to this style. So I think switching up is part of the human experience, right? Especially as you get older, you listen to more music. It's great.
Yeah.
Okay, so we talked about where you're from. Now, what's like a food dish from your home country that you think like would be popular here, or what's a food dish that you know that you think people would like to try?
Um, there's a dish that is very, 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 very popular at home and surrounding countries.
Okay.
It is called ugali.
Okay.
This is made of cassava flour
Okay.
or yam flour or corn flour. So basically, you warm up or boil some water, and you put the flour in, and you cook, and it becomes this. It has an appearance like dough, but it's not
Okay.
really dough. And so you use that to eat it with any kind of soup or stew. So people would have like some vegetable and maybe some meat or fish.
Hmm.
But it's super, super popular. We will eat it January to December and no problem.
That.
So it's a even here I try to get it. Sometimes I have to travel to Ottawa just to
Oh
get
yeah.
flour. So that's how much we love it.
All right. Well, if we do a if we do like a little student association potluck or something, I'll make a nice Irish Canadian stew. You make some of the ugali. We'll mash it together, and we'll have a fun little dish, my friend.
Kill it, man.
Oh hell yeah. Okay. Uh, are you a pet person? Are you an animal person at all?
What's that?
Are you like a pet person? Like, do you have any pets?
Pets? No, no, I am not a pet person. We've had a few cats like living in my family. Some people love really cats in my family. So I grew up not minding cats. I still have a problem with dogs, maybe because I was bitten by one when I was
uh,
a kid.
that
But
happens, man.
yeah, I'm just like personally, I wouldn't bother getting a pet. If somebody had one, I would tolerate it.
Fair enough. And man, honestly, it seems like you're a busy dude, and I think with the nursing medical field, you're going to be busy a lot. So cats or dogs are not the most conducive to that lifestyle, right? Like
That's
when I was a cook, I had cats and they're great, and I still have cats now. But man, I find dogs, there's so much work. I can't handle that. I don't have that level of responsibility.
Man, are you talking about these things? I lived like just before I moved here, I was in a place and my neighbor had like three dogs. And I thought, how do you live your life with three dogs? You have to walk them, you have to take them to the vet, you have to like in the middle of winter, January, February, you have to walk
Yo, I
them
know.
two, three times. I thought you are very committed to these things.
Yeah, I'm not about that life, man. All right. So as we wrap up here, like what's something that you would like your fellow students to know about you?
Um, I want the students to know that Henry will rarely approach somebody if doesn't know them,
Okay.
but Henry can be approached by anybody, almost anybody. You can meet me, stop me, I will stop. If I'm super busy, I'll give you my contact, we can reconnect. But Henry will almost stop for anybody. But he rarely looks for people.
All right. I like that, man. That's good. That's good. I'm kind of like I'll stop and talk with anyone. Like if I'm just like walking through a place and like I'll stop and talk with anyone. But same thing, if you guys want to stop either of us apparently in the hallway, we're more than willing to talk.
I think me not talking to people has to do with this being a new environment for me.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not a personality thing. I don't always know what people are thinking. I don't always know what people are at. I don't know how to rightly read somebody and know this is an approachable time, approachable atmosphere. It's good to start a conversation. I don't know that. So to be safe, I've decided, you know what? I won't bother anybody.
No, that's fair, man. It's different environments have different social cues and contexts, and when you're not from an area, it's harder to break into that.
Definitely a little
So
bit. In 10 years, I'll be talking to everybody.
I don't doubt it, my man. Okay. So I think that's going to wrap up for the time we have today, folks. Thank you so much for coming on here, Henry. I think this has been a great conversation. Joy having you on here. Hopefully, everyone out there has learned a little bit more about Henry and about what we do on the board. Um, Henry, do you have anything you want to shout out?
To all the students coming to the college this year, um, you guys are gonna rock it. Make campus your place, own it. If you have challenges, reach out. If you have things to celebrate, celebrate it. It's a big, crucial time of your life. So don't waste it, and don't allow yourself to be all gloomy and sad and cornered. Make the best use of it. Enjoy it.
Perfect. I love it. Okay, so that's going to do it for us today, guys. So find us on Instagram at the Essay Voice Podcast or on YouTube, Apple Music. Follow the the Student Association on Instagram for all kinds of fun events and details. You can follow our board work on there too. Guys, just get involved, have fun, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Cheers.